the button wasn't there anymore.
Yeah,
anyway.
I don't know. I must have hit something by accident, because all of a sudden I was getting a lot of advertisements for SteamYard and all that. Wait! I don't want to do that. I want to get a.
Oh, okay.
So
you hit the wrong button.
I don't know, and then
hit the wrong button.
All of a sudden it popped up again, and I was able to hit enter again, and I finally got on. So anyway, no big deal.
Morning to Ricky, Mike, and others. Morning, Mike. So, and Doc, if he's calling in from across the pond, river. All right. So
not from across the pond.
Not from across the pond. Yeah, across the river. I'm not across the pond.
From across the creek. From across the creek.
Yeah. Okay. So. So Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority, in partnership with Ontario Nature, has announced additional 97.4 hectares of protected land that they now own.
Well, that's celebratory, if you ask me. Like 97, slowly but surely, we're adding more and more land, the protected land.
Yeah,
we have here. Okay, go ahead.
Well, most of this is up around the Hamilton area. I was looking at this one, and I'm looking at the wrong page. Okay, so they've got Haldeman County, Hamilton, and West Lincoln properties. So there's an 8-hectare property north of Concession 4 in West Lincoln. There's the Dew family property, which is 28-hectare parcel in Chippewa Road East in Hamilton, and there's the Royd Rock addition in Haldeman County, which totals about 89 hectares. So that's the biggest chunk of space.
Yeah, the bottom line here is, even though it's only 97 hectares, it adds on to more of the protected areas that we're looking for. Canada has a plan of 30. It's called 30 times 30, which means we want 30% of our land protected against development and kept pristine, wild. 30 by 30. So we want 30% of it protected by 2030. Canada is not on track to do that, but here in the Niagara region we are. So the acquiring of 97 more hectares of land for this, and this is through donations, really, mostly.
Yeah, I was going to say the Dew family property sounds as if it's a donation rather than anything else, and it's adjacent to the Bimbrook Conservation Area. So it's just a worthwhile add-on to that plot of land, right?
Yes, and thank you very much. But there are other parts of it that we've had money come in federally too, to be able to secure certain properties.
Yeah.
Now, what we want to do is continue to grow those areas, the protected areas, and particularly Carolinian forests and certain wetlands and things like that. We have to be very clear that we've destroyed a lot of those things, and yet, as we were talking about yesterday, returning an environment back to its original form will benefit the area immensely, because I know things just settle in right, when you're doing that. Plus, it preserves it for generations ahead. You could go hike it through the woods. If these lands and things were not protected, what are you going to do? Way back when Theodore Roosevelt in the United States, decided to start protecting some of these huge lands that
he was the first person
for exploitation.
Yeah,
he really began something there for everyone in North America. He knew ahead of time, long ahead of time, that if you don't protect these are going to be gone and vanquished.
Yeah.
areas.
Well, in fact, that was the whole point of people. Things like, well, some of the first national parks in the US started in the 1800s, didn't they?
Yeah, but also they got a big boost from people like Theodore Roosevelt, who was president, and he could see what would have been the results of more development or more settlement in these pristine areas. He took note of what had happened in the East, where things just got absolutely vanquished. Wildlife areas got exploited to the max, and left in a bad form. And then he looks out west, where it has not been exploited.
Yeah.
And decided to protect certain areas. And I think he's not, of course, he wasn't alone in this. There was a lot of the Audubon Society. There's many people in the West at that time understood the consequences of development and how it should be. It should be part of what the government does for its people, is protect certain areas for the people for generations.
And that's of course one of the reasons why on this side of the border they set up as one of the first protected areas the Niagara Parks.
Yeah, but in a sense they protected it from development. On the other hand, they planted nice little trees and flowers and all that other stuff, which is not exactly what I would call original type of areas, but they protect the gorge and other things, and they protect that whole area from development.
Yeah,
so that's good. You don't want big factories up along the river there if you can help it. At what time at a certain time there were.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So that protection of the gorge, etc., started in the 1880s, 1890s, didn't it? And the Niagara Parks was one of the first, of course, national parks in Canada, wasn't it?
Yes, but anyway, the very idea of protecting these lands is a good thing. This protects them in perpetuity for people to come along in 100 years from now. The folk of in and around here can go into the forested areas, go for walks and hikes and stuff like that, and know that they were preserved, and understand that the wildlife that lives there at the behest of those people who were smart enough to preserve those areas for future generations. I think it's a great idea, and I tip my hat to those people who are doing that.
In some respects, I wonder whether former industrial lands should be put under these protected things.
Well, the former industrial lands have been sort of kind of wrecked the environment with their industrialization.
I know.
I think probably a lot of those industrial lands should be cleaned. And if you're looking for residential areas, clean off those old industrial lands and put your residential area there. The land has already been destroyed by the industrialization, right?
Well, what I was going to say was clean it and let it return to nature for a period of time.
You could do. That would take planning, because you'd have to sort of make sure that there wasn't anything in the land that would be.
Well, that is exactly my.
Well, look, we were just talking about over like the last couple of weeks. We're talking about over the river there and their problems with radioactivity.
Yeah.
Right, and stuff like that. Well, we may have pockets of that here and there ourselves.
Yeah.
So if you're going to turn an industrial land back into nature, you're going to have to figure out what's there that has to be removed first.
I think you have to. I think you have to do the best to clean it. But based upon what Mike was telling us about how you do the cleanup on these things, cleanup is actually quite tough in some of these areas. So we might actually find that unless we do return it to nature, if we were to put families, we would have cleaned it up and then we would have put brand new family, family homes on it. I think you'd be doing those families a disservice, because I think that cleanup wouldn't, is not always guaranteed to be 100% effective.
Well, I don't know. That generally speaking, that's what happens when they take old black and brown lands, try to clean them up and put housing or residential areas or businesses back on them. Now you've got a situation like the Gale Center. Like the Gale Center is being built, and as I understand it, you can go there and hang around all day long, but you don't want to live there because of the pollution and stuff could be bad for you. So it's not good for permanent dwelling, but it's okay for recreation. I don't understand that division line myself. You could go there and play hockey. For a kid could go there and hang around all day long, and then go home. But if he lived there, he would be at risk. I don't get it.
Well, the point being, Dave, is even if you work there, you kind of work an 8-hour day. You arrive in the morning at some time, you leave in the evening at some time. You spend the majority of your time at home. If your home is there, you spend 3/4 of your week at home.
Well, what about a rink rat? A rink rat that goes there every day. Rink rat that goes there every day, tries a Zamboni, works on the ice. Like, is he or she really that comfortable being there? Now, that's what they say, and I don't know if that's for an abundance of caution.
Yeah,
that you don't live there, but it's okay to have a recreational area. But that just didn't ever make sense to me. Oh yeah, you can go there to play. You can go play hockey, hang around, all that other stuff, but you can't live there, because if you hung around there too long, it's bad for you.
Yeah.
Well,
the only reason,
how bad? I mean, tell me how bad.
Yeah. The only reason, of course, that you can play hockey there is because the hockey's on top of, is placed on top of a ton of concrete. There's several feet of concrete under that hockey rink. Where you go to some other areas, there may well only be a foot of concrete under the hockey rink. I
don't know. How many feet of concrete are there under the Gale Center?
I don't know, but I know it's significant. I know it's more than the average depth of concrete.
Well, this is the first I've heard of it. So you think it is? Where is the proof?
I remember reading it in one of the things when they were talking about the homes at the Y. That there's about 6 foot of concrete under, at least 6 foot of concrete under the Gale Center to keep it out, right?
But, I don't know. Yeah, I think that's to keep the devil out.
Well, yeah, don't know. I'll take your word for that one. All right. Okay, so there's more lands. The thing about these NPCA, we haven't heard about from the NPCA for years, actually, which, other than the scandal, it's just been business as normal for the NPCA.
Yes, but there is a federal incentive, the 30 by 30, basically, to get 30% of the land protected by 2030.
Yeah.
Canada is falling down on that. It was an incentive brought in, I think, before Carney, but what is typical of everything before Carney, it was Trudeau type of bureaucracy that was taking care of it. So it's a muddle. We find everything that was before. I think probably Carney's, like, when he got into office, he was frustrated as all hell. He got in there and he said, the government bureaucracy is 40% larger than it has to be by a long shot. So that's the first thing you had to do, is start paring down and try to make the government work better. Basically what happens is Trudeau the younger, what Trudeau the older did was hand out federal jobs like they were candy to friends and anything to make it look good. and it didn't function very well. So I think probably, even though it was a good idea, the 30 times 30 initiative, it probably wasn't set up well, and that's probably why the overall Canadian sort of projection is not doing so well. But at least here in Niagara, we're on track.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Trump. Okay. So you put this one up earlier in the week. Trump signs an executive order calling for limits to vaccines and split the MMR shots up into their various components.
This kind of sounds horrible. Basically, he is him and Kennedy are pushing for limitations for vaccines, but a lot of this is a lot of hot air because it's down to the states basically on who gets what vaccines. Now, there's a lot of misinformation. I've never seen any more misinformation in my life. I mean, this whole, ever since the world turned from 2000 to 2001 and going forward, I've never seen so much misinformation in my life about everything. And vaccines are one of those things.
Yeah.
Now, there was a lot of fear about vaccines because they cause autism, and that boils down to a report from a British doctor long ago, but it took off with a life of its own. It was quickly denounced. Go ahead.
There was something very, very specific about that. It was not the MMR virus, right? There's no
MMR virus.
Sorry, it was not the MMR vaccine. It was I use the wrong word. It was
I do that all the time.
For mumps that was associated with this claim, and as you say, it was never proven.
Yes, a British doctor came up with it. Unfortunately, the way the press works, the press they want you to read the press. So what the press will do is not exactly do any kind of fact-checking backstep. All they know is that somebody said that a scientist, a doctor, somebody said that the vaccines will cause autism. It's a race to the newspaper. It's a race to the media. CNN's racing with Fox, racing with the BBC or whoever. Get this out there so we get the attention first, so that we get all the attention and people are going to be tuning into our station. But that's the essential thing they try to do, is try to get there on first. And the fact-checking part of it comes way later. Unfortunately, get the story out there first so we get all the credit or we get the viewership, and then we'll worry about how true it is later.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And absolutely. Unfortunately, we are victims of the press because they don't do their proper fact-checking as they used to do. And back, I got to blame Reagan for this, because back in Reagan's time, there was a regulatory body law meant you have to have fair and accurate news reporting. And if you go back to those days, it was very objective news reporting. After that, then it was news can be a form of entertainment and a form of making a lot of money.
Yeah, this whole question about the whooping cough virus that was back in the 80s. In fact, it was quite prevalent around the mid 80s, and I was one when my son was vaccinated. I kind of held off on the whooping cough vaccination because of the allegations around it, but later on that all seemed to prove to be false. And the trouble is, then there's been this kind of that triggered, and we're talking 40 years ago here, right? So that's triggered some whole thing about vaccines being bad for us. When in fact, actually, up till that point, we'd always seen vaccines as being the savior of humanity.
It is the savior of humanity. More people are alive today and are healthy because of vaccines.
Yeah.
All kinds of reasons why there are. Smallpox is eradicated. Polio is eradicated. That didn't come from nothing. It came from vaccines.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, this whole idea of the vaccines being perpetrated by big pharma and all that, the medical science is very clear. Yes, there are going to be the odd person that has a reaction to vaccines. But if you leave vaccines out, then millions of more people are going to get sick, as we found out at the explosion of measles. There's been an explosion of measles out there that didn't happen before because people got their vaccines at an early age. Nobody panicked about the vaccines. When my kids, I had no objections to my kids getting the vaccines at all. I did a little fact checking, did a little background. I found out that this British guy was full of shit, but everybody ran with it. Even when go back to COVID, when the AstraZeneca had there was a problem with AstraZeneca vaccine. It wasn't a big thing, and after that, pretty much every other vaccine had a reported one or two people having a problem with it. But because AstraZeneca was the first one to show that it might have had a problem, all of a sudden people weren't going to get AstraZeneca.
Well, you couldn't actually
even if it was available for them.
Yeah, you couldn't actually get AstraZeneca because I asked, because I actually wanted one traditional one new style vaccine. I asked about the AstraZeneca and they said, no, it's not possible to get it.
Well, I got it. I got it when it first came out. And then they took it off because they had that problem with it. And so they removed it meantime. Then nobody would get it again. So they kind of lost out there. But subsequently, each different one of the vaccines had similar issues. They were minor, but because AstraZeneca had the first issue that somebody said, and you'll find the issue with everything, whether it's penicillin, whether it's an aspirin, whether it's anything, someone will have a reaction towards it. And of course, they exploded all that because why? For the same reason I told you before. The press is not responsible. They're responsible for getting the story out fast and not responsible to do a fact check until much later, unfortunately for us.
And the point being is this MMR vaccine that we get, there's people are refusing that now, but the MMR one was been standard for, it's more or less been unchanged for 50 years.
Well, what the Trump administration has done, I think there's 11 standard vaccines they want to give, and they're saying that you actually only have to have 8. But all this is determined by the state anyway. These are federal recommendations, right? The state themselves do this. I bet you any money, though, that the armed forces are required to have maximum vaccines on everything. If you ask me, because they don't want any kind of diseases running through the armed forces. Can you imagine, the ships right now in the U.S. Navy where people are reportedly trying to jump off of them because they've been so cloistered for such a long time in environments like that where the plumbing's not working, the sanitary's not working. They've had fires and everything else like that. You could have a real pandemic right on that ship, So you can bet your bottom dollar that just about everybody in the armed forces are vaccinated to the max.
Vaccine.
But this is a foolish thing by the Trump administration. It works on people's ignorance, like I've said before. no administration in my life has been able to work the ignorance of the average person better than this administration. Um, they're saying, okay, well, you can't have all your vaccines at once. We're going to spread them out when you have a child. Do you know how much those vaccines take? He says, well, it's like pouring a can of soda into a kid. That's how much vaccines. You know how much is 0.5 of a milliliter. 0.5 of a milliliter.
Hardly anything.
Yeah. So what are you talking about? I can understand if they said, okay, well, to give the kid all these vaccinations all at once, maybe a problem for the immune system or something like that. No, they were talking about volume of vaccinations, as if it's trying to dump a soda can, like a can of pop down a kid's throat.
Didn't you as a kid? Didn't you used to wear this kind of thing as a thing of pride? That vaccine, the little indentation that you have because where the vaccine shot occurred.
Yeah, everybody of our generation, when they went sleeveless, had they had the smallpox scars there from the old-fashioned vaccine, right?
Yeah.
And every one of us has them to one degree or another. I don't even know if I can find mine anymore. But
it's years since I've looked, and I just remembered it's on my left arm, and you kind of wore it as a kind of symbol of pride. Yeah, I've been vaccinated.
I don't remember that part of it. I do remember getting the needles, and I remember getting the polio vaccines, the smallpox vaccines. They did it in the schools back in those days. So you just one day you went and you got your vaccine, and everybody lined up in the hall, and you went into into one room, and there was a grumpy looking doctor and a kindly nurse, and the kindly nurse was nice to you and talked to you nice and told you that there was this grumpy looking doctor stabbing you, right?
Yeah. All right. Okay, so enough on vaccines. All right.
Yeah.
Let's move on. So Niagara Falls is launched a second registration program to help coordinate cleanup and recovery efforts for affected families.
Yeah, this was in the sort of reiterated at City Council meeting on Tuesday as well, that there, because of the floods, the Niagara, the facilities around have been able to answer a lot of the calls for reactions to the flood very quickly. In other words, people have got all kinds of equipment, old drywall that got damaged by the floodwaters. They've got couches, chairs, everything else that got molded or wrecked by the water. What do you do with it? Well, they've made it easy for you to get rid of that. Now you just have to get to the city website and find out when they're going to have. I think on the 13th, a couple of days from now, they're going to have another pickup. They've already had one, so try to get registered there if you have
register by. It was August the 7th at 3:30, but I think Monday the 10th. No, I think it's today at 3 o'clock. You need to register it by.
Okay, but let's put it out there. Get it registered so that you can, if you've had floodwater damage and you got to get rid of old drywall, you got to get rid of old couches or anything that get damaged that is that cannot be. Take pictures of it, of course, so that you have it available for the insurance company. They tell you to get rid of your old carpets if they got wet. Do not wait for a insurance adjudicator. Take pictures of it, whatever you have to do. But if you left the carpet in there waiting for the adjudicator, it will develop mold and become a health problem for you. And it may actually make the rest of your room impossible to
yeah.
Come back because
Take
it'll be mold will begin. It'll soak into the walls, whatever. So get rid of it.
Yeah,
anything that got saturated and it cannot be revitalized, get rid of it and get it out to the curb and call the city or the region or whatever you have to do, and they can get rid of it. You can get rid of it yourself too. They have I think special you don't have to pay a price to get rid of this stuff if you go to the dump. I'm pretty sure of that. You go as a flood, just tell them that you're trying to get rid of your flood stuff, and you may not be charged, but you have to look into this. And like I said, the mayor brought it up at the Tuesday meeting, and
the dates in this site that I've given you are all for last week, but they do say that it's open till today. So if you know about, if you've got it, register it now, or if you know anybody who's been affected by the last flood, tell them about it. Give them the website details. All right, and get them moving now. Okay. Yeah. Anything else on that one?
No, it's just that it is available to you.
Yeah.
And I'll say it again. If you've got a wet carpet or something, get rid of it. Take pictures of it, get rid of it. Don't wait for an insurance adjudicator, because you're going to put yourself at risk there with mold contamination.
Yeah.
If you don't get it out of there.
Yeah. You don't have to wait for the assessor. Just get it, get rid of it. Photograph it and get rid of it. Okay. All right. Moving on. There, you've got a short time to do this, right? Though, the athletics, St. Catherine's Athletics, are launching a fundraising campaign to help cover the cost of competing in the 2026 Minto Cup in Calgary.
Yes, I saw this article. I didn't know they. Of course, I should have known, because I've played on all kinds of sport teams everywhere, and funding has always been a problem for that. I remember they can.
Well, it's not quite like where we used to be in Britain. I was on sports teams everywhere. The standard way we got to things like the national cross country championship is we get in a bus, a coach, and it would only cost us a couple of bucks each, or a few, not very much, when you was dividing the coach out, but amongst everybody, right?
Well, I remember when I played lacrosse, they gave us boxes of fudge that we're supposed to go around door to door and sell this fudge. It was made by a fudge maker, a candy person in Niagara on the Lake. It was really good stuff. It was high-end fudge. I don't know. I've never been a connoisseur of fudge, but they gave us these boxes of fudge with like big cardboard boxes with individual fudge inside wrapped up, and we're supposed to go door to door and sell it. Well, I went everywhere, and I maybe sold about 3 of them. I sold a couple to my parents' friends, and then I ate a pile of them. It was chocolate and vanilla, and they're both great. They had walnuts in them, and whatever money I got, of course, I turned it in. But they were on us all the time. Well, come on, we need some money. Go sell that fudge.
Well,
I've been all over the place trying to sell it. Try harder. What do you mean, try harder? Right? I'm doing everything I can. Nobody wants the goddamn fudge.
Yeah, the irony there is I remember kind of I'd go out and try and sell it, but it's like, so I'd go to knock on the door and say, hey, you want to buy some of this, all right, and explain why they want it. No, I just bought it from my son.
Yeah, well,
I also who ever expressed an interest, and the ones who got the most sales of that. The ones whose daddies had a shop, a sweet shop.
Yeah, definitely. They put them on the counter.
Yeah.
So anyway, like, and they were terrible, man. They were terrible. Oh, you want to play lacrosse? You better sell some of that fudge. Well, it's pretty obvious you don't want you haven't got a real heart to want to play this lacrosse. You would have sold a lot more fudge. Oh, go get stuff. And they were giving it to these farmer guys that I played lacrosse with because I played Niagara in the Lake. So you can imagine those farmer guys. They don't have a neighborhood, a suburban neighborhood they can walk around like I did. They're stuck with these 2 boxes of fudge, right? Dozens of individual and packaged fudge, and wonder what they're going to do with them, you know? Like,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, well, where are they going to? They got to put it in the back of the tractor and go to their neighbors. Hey, you want some fudge?
Fudge roll. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I did. I remember doing the same sort of thing for, Southampton Eastleigh Athletics Club. Right.
Anyway, so if you are so inclined, you want to help out the St. Catharines A's, they're getting money. They're getting some money from the league, some money here and there, but they're going to need about 50 G's for all other expenses. And that's a lot of money, but their flights taken care of, and their accommodations are taken care of by the league or the government or whatever, wherever the funds come from. But they still need $50,000 for other stuff, probably mostly food and partying. I wouldn't put that partying thing there. I think these guys are they probably got a pocket full of their own coin that they're going to use.
I would think so. By the way, I've just put the link on to out here. So anybody who wants it, there's the link available to you on the website. All right. So go, so if you want to donate, feel free.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Moving on. Yeah, and we got no comments today, guys.
Are we even broadcasting?
Yeah, we are. Well, we've got some comments, but just not, not the billions that we normally get.
Oh, what did you say yesterday that's turning them away?
I didn't say a thing.
Oh, okay, it must be me then.
I said maybe we need to spark the conversation by saying, "Hey, Dave's off tomorrow." Oh no, he isn't.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So Canada's $1.7 billion strategy to attract researchers is facing heavy criticism, basically. And this is, believe it or not, from the Red Star.
Yeah. Canada's communist newspaper. Well, they would definitely consider that a communist rag down in the United States. And an inch left from fascism, and it's a communist conspiracy down there. At least in the Republican ranks. Anyway, so the what we find here is complete government debacle all over again. What we're supposed to be doing is making it very easy for people of talent to come here. Yeah. Particularly students and researchers and that kind of thing. So what we are looking for is people of talent. People who've got what it takes. We're not looking for the laborer. We're not looking for the next guy that's going to buy a corner store. We're looking for that person that will contribute to the research in Canada, in our universities, in our industries, and all of that. That's what we're supposed to be doing. However, and this is what I meant before by Trudeau era rubbish, is that's in place. That all sounds good. But these people who are trying to get here and do that, and these are the people we want to stay, by the way, too. We want the smart ones to come here and stay, the ones that will contribute to research and all that stuff. We want them. They're going to contribute to Canada in big ways. They can't get here. And why is that? Whereas all these people that came here over the last few years, and they were going to Joe's Coconut College, and not even going and staying in Canada, and that was a big issue about students, wave upon wave of students coming from developing countries into Canada under the most minor of reasons. Now we can't get the people we really want. Why is that? Why is it?
Well,
because of bureaucratic bungling.
Yeah, and it would help.
The Carney government came up with this idea. Let's fast track this way for getting researchers in. These are the people we want in our country. These are the ones that are going to make significant improvements and develop our country. And then immigration says, well, nobody told us anything about that. So we're going to have to go through all this lengthy, burdensome security checks.
But I'll be honest with you, Dave. As one of these high, top-notch people that they wanted to recruit into the country, they utterly failed, right? Because they don't make it. They as soon as you get in, they basically say, "Oh no, your qualifications from abroad don't matter. They're not Canadian, so I don't care."
Well, that's part of the problem, but let's just go right down to the basics when it's into research and stuff where you want to attract talent. And I do know a young man that from the United States whose parents had Canadian background, and so he was able to come up here, apply for his Canadian passport, come up here and go into the U of T and get a research. Get into research. So that's because he'd already had his parents, or one of his parents was Canadian, was able to get his passport and everything. So was able to come up and take advantage of that rather quickly. And we find a great number of U.S. researchers come up here. They have a little bit easier time of it. But we're talking about the ones from India and Iran and China are just hitting brick walls when they're trying to come here, and the government wants them, but the immigration part of the government can't seem to coordinate itself with this particular initiative by the government. So the government says, this is what we're going to do. And if you read this article, it's like immigration says, well, no one told us. And the government says, like, we want these people here, zoom in on this, concentrate on them, get them in here. These are well-educated people. We need them. We need higher educated people. We need researchers. Yeah. But what does the immigration people do? We got to do this and we got to do that, and they don't fast track it.
And it's beyond just immigration, Dave. It's beyond immigration. It's people like the Law Society of Ontario need to have the rules changed on them. It's people like the College of Doctors in Ontario that need to have the rules changed on them. Right?
You're talking about a completely different thing. You're completely different thing.
You're
talking about doctors coming in here. You're talking about doctors coming in here and not being able to do doctoring. And you're talking about lawyers coming in here and not being able to be lawyers. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about researchers coming into the country.
But it's the whole same. It's a part and parcel of the same thing, that you have to put the whole mix into play that causes foreign people to be accepted on the same par as local people, because that's what's happening here as well. It's not.
Well, so we're spending.
Yes.
We're spending.
Here is also the problem.
Possibly, but I think you're talking about a different aspect completely. That's been around for a very long time. What you're talking about, this is relatively new. This is a new program by the government right? So basically, what we want to do is do the brain drain, get the best minds over here. So basically, the title of the article is Canada spending big to recruit top global minds. They may find it hard to stay in the country if they can even get in.
Yeah.
Now, the very idea, we were supposed to be incentivizing people, certain people, to come into the country, those with better educations, those with better skills. And then this is part of it. They want to get researchers in here. But then the researchers find themselves, one aspect of the government says, yeah, come on in. And they spend a lot of money attracting these people. When they do, then those people who they attract to come in, want to come in, they hit a brick wall in immigration. So anyway, just even the first paragraph, a fellow by the name of Wang was thrilled when leading seismologist at the University of Toronto agreed to take him under her wing and the secure funding for his doctoral studies was icing on the cake, but the arrangement is now in serious jeopardy. The prospective PhD student from China is struggling to get his study permit in time to start in September, despite Ottawa's commitment to attract global talent drive. So he's doing everything right. It's just that, like Ottawa, it does talk about, like, the left hand's not talking to the right hand in this particular case. So Ottawa says, this is what we got to do. This is how we attract new talent. And immigration didn't get the notice.
Yeah. It's a problem. It's a big problem, and especially you've got good people like that are, that are not getting in. It certainly is a problem.
He says, while institutions can go all out to invite prospective talent, experts say success hinges on whether the recruits can make it to Canada in a timely way and secure permanent residence after their stay. A lack of streamlined systems and delays in security processing, they say, are hindering the effort. I tend to believe that. The bureaucracies are just like...
And somebody like a seismologist, that's a very specialist type of study. Once they've got their PhD, once they've got their senior status, and once they're accredited, they could almost go anywhere in the world.
Probably, but they might want to set up permanent residency in Canada. And that's what we want. That's basically what we're trying to... The Americans actually have looked at our system before we let everybody and their brother in under study permits. But when they looked at our immigration system, aside from what our student debacle was happening before, they liked it. They saw how how the Canadian government chose people to become Canadians or through regular immigration, and it was a positive thing. It was a positive thing how we did it. Looking for people that will improve the country.
Yeah.
Because years ago, back in the 50s, when you needed labor, 40s and 50s, when you needed labor, you just get anybody that could to swing a hammer or dig a shovel. Yeah, you could get them, all kinds of them. But you don't need those anymore.
Okay, so Mike basically is making the point that if they get free education, and I think the example that you gave was not free education but sponsored education, then they should be doing 10 years. They should commit to 10 years in our country.
That's pretty hard to do because when you infringe upon different governments have tried that. I remember when I was in Ghana, they tried that system where you have to be committed to do 5 years back in Ghana after you get your doctor's certificate. Let's say when they go back to Ghana, they only last about 18 months before they go back to the Western countries.
Yeah,
because it's so difficult for them to set up shop there. So they kind of have the same situation where it sounds good, but it's really hard to do. They want to do it, but the government gets in their way, and they can't make a living doing it. So they want to commit to go back to their original country and set up shop for so long, but it doesn't work.
It's very difficult to actually cause anybody. In fact, hey, I'm going to employ you tomorrow, Dave. We've got a great job for you, but you've got to commit to stay with our firm for 5 years. That's illegal.
Or pay us the money. The things they get around with that, like, okay, we'll pay for your education. You got to stay here for 5 years, whatever, after you graduate, right? If you leave, then you owe us the money.
Yeah, and again, in employment terms, back in the day, there used to be loans and things like that you could get from your employer, whereby you'd secure your job until you paid off the money. But it's no longer, that sort of thing no longer is done. And in fact, employment laws don't really allow that kind of, you can work with us and until you've paid off the money. That is not permitted anymore.
Then they should just apply at Tim Hortons under the temp foreign workers program. Well, they're trying to get away from that, obviously. And Tim Hortons, like,
I get Mike's comment though. He's just trying to be funny on it, right?
Yeah,
it's a cynical comment, right? And I get it.
Well, shame on Tim Hortons for exploiting the temporary workers.
It's very much
shame on them big time.
Yeah,
jerks. But that's what capitalism is, right? We'll shut out the local people from work because we can get people for pennies. Give them a bag of rice and 2 coins and have them live in the shack in the back.
Yeah. Well, again, there's actually a big movement out there that I've seen boycott Tim Hortons because of the use of temporary foreign workers. Where they're going to go? McDonald's, who are probably doing exactly the same.
Yeah, they're probably all doing the same thing because they're they're capitalist swine, and that's why you got people like Mamdani and Al Sayed and people like that being elected in the United States, because it's a reaction to the capitalist swine who will do that to you every day. If you don't fight the capitalist swine, you will be working 18 hours a day and your children will be in the mines.
Yeah. All right. Who has the money to pay these people? Well, somebody does. Yeah.
Now this is a different altogether, because this is an article on a good idea gone bad, because 2 different aspects of the government cannot see eye to eye. Yeah. One's looking left, one's looking right, and the government's come up with a great idea, but one aspect of the government didn't get the memo and just goes on what they usually do, and they have found no ability to have insight into how to deal with this, which annoys me forever, because that the immigration people know that this is the incentive of the government, but they're not going to do anything different. No one told us anything different, and I'm not going to work that hard to change anything. Why should I change anything? Everything's going just fine. I'll come in the morning, have a cup of coffee, and talk at the water cooler for the rest of the day and say, oh, I've done a hard job, and go home. So basically that's government. If you don't, and I might sound pretty bad there, but I watched the government workers in St. Catharines, the ones that were doing the income tax in St. Catharines, in the federal building there. I was working, installing doors. I never saw a whole bunch of people do a whole lot of nothing in my whole life. They had their feet up on their desk reading the newspapers. I see them go to the water. Typically, seriously, go to the water cooler. I never heard so much jabber in a workplace in my life. And I'm thinking, all these people here are being employed by the government, and I hardly see any of them working at all.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Moving on, Canada-US trade officials are mapping out potential deals with this, but they've got to pitch it to Trump next week.
Well, we can't trust the guy. This is what I'm. Every time we go on about what kind of deal we're going to get with Trump, or what kind of deal we're going to get with the U.S., you can't trust them because they change their mind constantly. Yeah. And every deal they've made prior to this, they haven't upheld. No deal from the United States is any good anymore because Obama made a deal with Iran and Trump got rid of it. And now he's stuck in a war that he can't get out of because he didn't realize he didn't modify that deal to make it better. What he did was he just got rid of it. And they've made trade deals here and there. It depends on who's in the office, who's going to switch the deal, who's next. If we make a deal with Trump, who's next? And basically, you can't trust Trump. Trump cannot be trusted on any deal at all. This is what we hear universally, and I'm not expressing it from a Canadian point of view alone. You read other national newspapers, other media from India, Europe, Africa, and the bottom line is you cannot have any confidence in the U.S., any trade deal, because they just change it. They'll change it anytime they want to change it. Look at the situation we're in now. A 1930s law, something that's 96 years old, that was never used. It was part of the Smoot-Hawley debacle of the early 30s. They found this. They blew the dust off it, and they're going to work it against Canada so that they can put 50% tariffs on things, even some of those things that are covered under CUSMA. They're using that as leverage. And if we do make a deal with them, of course, they're going to hit us with a sledgehammer to force us into making the deal that they want, hugely advantageous to them, instead of being fair. And they'll hit us with this sledgehammer over and over again and hope that we will concede. And then if they decide, well, we want more, want more, give me more. And if you give them more, you want more. It's like it really is like the bully in the schoolyard. He wants your lunch money, and then the next day he wants more of your lunch money, and the next day he wants more than that. He wants your shoes and your lunch money, and after that he wants more money. He says, "Well," you say, "Well, I had a deal with you. I give you my lunch money, you leave me alone." No, I want more. I want more. Give me the hat. Give me that watch. That's what Trump's like. So when we make a deal, we can't trust the guy. He has no honor. He has no dignity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like like buying a car. You make a deal with the guy of the car you want. You finally get a car. The next day you come and pick it up, and he says, "No, I want some more money. I want more." Yeah. We made a deal. Well, I don't like our deal. We're going to make more money now. And then okay, I'll get some more money, and then he come back. Oh, well, sorry. It was too long. We want some more, even more money now.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's the only car dealer in the area. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it is like that. But again, Claudia Sheinbaum has basically said, Mexico's not making a deal unless Canada is included in it.
Yes, because she's an honorable person. Honor. She has dignity. She has character, right? She is presidential. We're not working with somebody like that. We're working with a clown, a goofy clown with a big stick who will change his mind on any whim. He's like a fickle old woman who changes her mind any old woman, any old time. So the fickle old woman should be Sheinbaum because she's a lady, but the fickle old hag here is Donald Trump, and he changes his mind every 2 seconds, and he's not that bright. We can see how badly he got. Rick is saying, we don't need USA, we need China, right? Well, we need each other for one thing, which is the biggest plus I can give to Donald Trump is he's made us look at ourselves very, very hard. And we have now interprovincial barriers falling apart, falling down because of this. We are now trading with each other, which we should have been doing long ago. It was just so easy just to do it with the states. So we now got the provincial barriers to trade coming down all over the place. We have deals coming on back and forth. We are also seeking out different markets for our stuff, which we should have been doing long ago, but we were so damn lazy. So we can thank, and that's the truth about Canadian politicians. When it comes to economy, they're lazy, but now they can't be. They got to go around the world and look for other trade deals of which we are securing. But make no mistake, the United States is going to be vastly important to us forever.
Always, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. But in the meantime, you can't let them push you around, because if they do, like I said, if you give them your lunch money, guess what? They're going to come back and want your shoes and your hat the next day.
Yeah. All right. We'll call it quits at that point, Dave.
Yes. And I will bring up Gaza again. We see that Netanyahu has snubbed Trump, made him look foolish. Trump will have come up with some kind of story saying that didn't happen. He's already tried. He's been humiliated by Netanyahu. And Netanyahu's just using what the Israelis have always done, is just to delay, deflect, annoy until that president goes away, and then they work on the next president. In the meantime, they keep dropping bombs on children and stopping people from going to the hospital if they need it. That's what they're like. And it says, Rick, you and Trump are one of the same.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But I tell you what, he's better at cheating at golf than I am.
Do you play golf?
No, but that's the only reason why he's better at it.
The only way I'm going to win at golf is to cheat.
Well, I can put two sentences together that make sense. I can do that. And I like what El Sayed said. Did you hear what El Sayed said about Trump? An interviewer said, Trump says you're full of shit. And he says, well, at least I'm not letting it go in the White House, because there's all these rumors about Trump being farting all the time and having to wear Depends because,
Okay. All right. I think we should leave it there. Get over it.
Without further ado, I bid you adieu.
All right.